Hello, Internet. My name is Chamomile.
And I'm the Queen of Air and Darkness. I mean, Requiem. I'm Requiem. I'm not also the Queen of Air and Darkness. We are two separate people.
The Queen of what darkness?
Queen of Air and Darkness, but I'm not her. We're not the same person.
Well, I mean, I guess I'll take your word for it. Because, I'm not sure who that person is. They definitely sound very, very ominous. But, you know, since you're not her, I guess it doesn't matter.
Yes, exactly.
So, fun fact, I have just now remembered that, hey, I have a Keyblade upgrade and have for like the past hour. We're going to go ahead and equip that.
Yeah, I'd have been wondering about that, because I knew there were games where you could change the Keyblade, and I just assumed it wasn't in Kingdom Hearts 1, and...
Yeah, no, you totally can. I just completely forgot about it for a very long time.
It's fine.
Yeah, which does explain why I was feeling a little bit underleveled. Partly, at least.
My first wish, Genie. Show me the keyhole.
And what do you care? You know it's in this room. Your only goal is to make sure it doesn't get sealed. The keyhole is already in the state you want it to be in.
There's a whole discussion of how much this game rests on keys and keyholes that you could have a Freudian analysis of, but I think we'll just leave that one aside for now.
Yeah, no, we'll wait until the game when Sora turns 18 to have that conversation. Which, going by the current trajectory, would be Kingdom Hearts 5?
It still blows my mind he's supposed to be 14.
Yeah, I mean, even as a kid, I felt the same way. He struck me as more like 12.
Even like in personality, I feel like more of a 12-year-old.
Yeah, the only thing that comes across to me as 14 is his crush on Kairi. And even then, like, I could see that on a 12-year-old, I would only be a little bit surprised. Just because 12-year-olds totally have crushes, and Sora's crush on Kairi, it isn't like, you know, super... I don't know what the real word for this is, but like, you know, developed, super mature, which, you know, 14-year-olds don't have particularly mature romances either, but you know what I mean.
I feel like a 12-year-old doesn't really understand what the feeling is, maybe?
Yeah, where, like, you know, Sora seems to know what he wants, he's just real awkward about it. Like, the vibe I get from him is that, yeah, he would like to make out with Kairi, but he is a bit of an awkward teenager about it and doesn't want to just actually talk to her about it, because that would be awkward as hell, and he has no idea how to flirt. But in every other aspect of his personality, he comes across like a 12-year-old. So, and honestly, to the extent that Sora's crush on Kairi seems more mature, I think it might just be because Riku seems like a 14 or a 15-year-old when he's making fun of him for it.
Yeah.
And they are supposed to be the same age, so...
Let's get into the thing where, for me at least, find it very hard to get invested in romances if I'm not already invested in the characters. I'm not really invested in Kairi at all.
Yeah, like, they set aside the time for it, but the problem is that she wasn't really anything except for a quest ATM.
Yeah.
Like, we talked to her, but she doesn't say very much. Which,
Like, I could not describe her personality.
I have this running joke about how Sora and Riku are, you know, my OTP. And partly that's a forward reference to Kingdom Hearts 2, when their relationship actually gets explored a lot. But it's also partly... it's because they have really well-developed personalities, and like a relationship dynamic with each other, even in Kingdom Hearts 1, in a way that neither of them really have with Kairi.
No! Sorry.
Yeah.
The one with the lamp calls the shots. I don't have a choice.
Every time I hear Genie talk, it breaks my heart.
Yeah, like, that ain't Robin Williams. I mean, someone had to try, which is... Like, I feel bad for that guy.
Like, it sounds like the person who would voice the genie in, like, the DVD that your grandmother grabbed out of the box and got the wrong one. Because it sort of looks like Aladdin, but she can't tell the difference.
I mean, so you're basically talking about the Return of Jafar there, where, you know, they had the direct-to-video sequel, where they had to bring the genie back. And the thing is, Return of Jafar's genie, although clearly not Robin Williams, was still better than this guy. So, I don't know, maybe I should be less sympathetic. Like, on the one hand, this guy was given an impossible task that no one was ever going to succeed at. But on the other hand, I mean, other people have done better, so, I don't know.
He sounds like how it would sound if Family Guy did a cutaway gag of the genie, and this is Seth MacFarlane trying to do the voice.
Alright, come on. Get within attack range. The fun thing about the genie in this fight is that because he is under Jafar's control, he is required to try and attack. But, like, the whole theme is that his heart isn't really in it. Which means you can just ignore him for the whole fight. Because, like, his attacks are so inaccurate that, and so infrequent.
I like that.
That you can basically just ignore him.
Jafar doesn't really get a good villain song, as I remember.
Funny enough, he actually gets a really good one in Return of Jafar.
The
direct-to-video sequel.
Second rate? You're only
Yes.
second best or something?
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty good villain song.
I think Ursula has the best villain song. Like, I don't think you
it's
can
so
top.
good. Like, there's subtlety there. Like, you know, she's making this devil's bargain, and you can feel the pitch, right? Like, yeah, if I really wanted what she was offering, and I was a dumb 17-year-old, I could absolutely see myself falling for that against my better judgment. Which, you know, Ariel, like, winces as she signs the contract. She knows this is probably not a good idea. She's just kind of desperate. And also, she has an abusive father, which, you know, so she's kind of operating out of pure spite, which I can respect. I feel like this fight was originally supposed to happen after you'd already unlocked the double jump.
Probably. A lot of people like Be Prepared as the villain song.
I do really like that one too. Maybe just because, and I feel bad because again, I cannot remember the guy's name, but the guy who plays Scar has a fantastic, just a fantastic singing voice.
Then, Hellfire, a lot of people like too. It's very dark for Disney.
It is, which I really like the entire Notre Dame soundtrack.
Hunchback of Notre Dame was probably too dark of a subject matter to tackle. And when it's based off a book, like, it's a little harder to get away with making massive changes the way you can with, like, a folk tale.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely true that Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame is a very different story. And in fact, in the Broadway play, they changed it to more resemble the book. And the movie is much better. Like, its ludicrous tone problems notwithstanding. Yeah. Hunchback of Notre Dame was trying to be two different movies. 2/3 of the time, it was this surprisingly dark, you know, fairly medieval story. And the other half of the time, it was trying to be a lighthearted, Hercules-style Disney romp. And the thing is, when it was being the darker movie, it was really good. Anyway, it's not like the darker movie was extremely dark. Like, it was definitely very dark for Disney, for sure. It was probably a movie you wouldn't want to take your 6-year-old to, but your 10-year-old would be fine. You know, songs like Hellfire and, you know, the scenes of Paris burning and so forth, those are the kind of scenes that people think 10-year-olds can't handle, but they'll be fine. It's really not that graphic. And I do find that people tend to underestimate kids by, like, about 2 years pretty consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mike, if you think about, like, the children's literature, probably, like, the children's literature you remember is stuff that tackled some dark stuff. Like, Bridge to Terabithia, where, you know, his friend dies. Like, it's tragic, and you remember it because it doesn't shy away from this horrible thing.
It was one of my favorite books growing up. Which, you know, obviously that is partly indicative of my underdeveloped taste in books at the time, but I mean, it was a kid's book.
Genie, my final wish.
Excuse me, I killed you.
I want you to make me an all-powerful genie.
See, and this always bugs me. It's one of the, Kingdom Hearts, you know, really relies on you already knowing the story of these Disney movies, right?
Yeah.
And this is a place where it gets real bad about it, because in the original Aladdin, Aladdin tricks Jafar into making this wish that backfires on him, because, you know, apparently every single genie is bound to lamps in this universe. Whereas in this version, you know, Genie is just like, Jafar is just like, well, why didn't I do this in the first place? This is much better than just being a regular wizard.
I read an article that talking about the transformation of the Jinn to the Western genie. Suggested that the focus on the wishes is related to capitalism and sort of the capitalist need for sort of to be able to infinitely indulge sort of material wishes without necessarily having to do labor for it, which I thought was an interesting interpretation.
I mean, interesting, yes, but I do have to take issue with it, just because, I say infinitely, but one thing that comes up in the Western version, the Western retellings, that is not so often present in the originals, is the finite nature of the wishes.
That is an interesting point.
Because in the originals, which, and I have read a couple of translations of the originals here and there, I have never made the proper study of them that I have wanted to, so I'm not speaking from the level of authority that I like to, and even that level of authority, to be clear, isn't like, you know, doctorate level or anything. But, to my understanding, though, it is that it is the westernized versions that tend to have 3 wishes, and the original versions tend to have just, you know, as long as you have the lamp, the ring, the whatever it is that has bound the genie, so long as you have that, you can command any amount of wishes from them. They are, you know, a slave of the lamp, or whatever.
Back to your lamp.
I think that's, you know, that's a fair point.
And yeah, so it's... And I think it is in the capitalist paradigm, where the wishes, you know, hitting the jackpot and suddenly coming into a ton of wealth is a very capitalist dream, a very capitalist premise, but it's also... It has to be finite, or there is no story, because conflict so reliably revolves around acquiring material wealth somehow, you know, in one way or another. Material wealth or material power, I should say. A lot of action movies are basically about needing to shoot the bad guy, which is definitely a material goal, but is not the same thing as material wealth, in fairness. But, you know, that's why the wishes have to be limited, because if you have unlimited wealth, then what else could the conflict be? where could the story come from?
Well, even like in the Aladdin movie, the Disney movie, he's trying to. His ultimate goal is to get Jasmine's love. He can't wish for it, but if he had infinite wishes, he could just keep trying, and like he wouldn't have to worry about bungling it with a misplaced wish at any point.
And I mean, you know, one of the very first things he does is he wishes for effectively incredible wealth and status in order to try and get Jasmine, which, you know, the human desire for some kind of relationship is extremely universal in different, like, it's particularly pronounced in our current culture where fucking everything needs to have a romance subplot, and also it's always romance, never anything else. But, you know, the human desire to have friends and family and loved ones appears in some form in basically all media of almost any culture. But in capitalist media, in, you know, modern Western capitalist media, is frequently the case that the hero either thinks they need or actually does need a bunch more wealth to have this relationship, which is almost always a heterosexual romance, which, in fairness, maybe ancient cultures were just as repetitive, and I just don't notice because I only read the highlights of their culture before moving on to another one. But definitely I noticed that, yeah, Hollywood, modern American culture is so repetitive with it's always got to be a romance. It's always got to be getting the girl. You know, even Kingdom Hearts is doing it a bit, although Japanese media will often focus on friendships a lot more, which is a breath of fresh air, just coming from my own cultural background.
It's weird that this isn't voice acted. Like, I get that it's like a PS2 era, but I'm just so used to at this point to everything being voice acted.
Yeah.
One wish left. Look, just say the word.
Like, I remember the first time I heard voice acting in a video game, and I thought, like, this is the pinnacle of human technology.
It's funny. This is, like, a really pivotal moment, but only if you know the story, which everyone knows the story of Disney's Aladdin, so it's fine. But, like, the idea that Aladdin is choosing here not just between his own happiness, but between Jasmine's safety and keeping his promise. And that's like a real moral dilemma, right? Like, Jasmine has been kidnapped by the Heartless. His last wish could be to bring her back safely, but he made a promise to, he made a promise to Genie that he would set him free with his last wish. Like, that's a legitimately interesting quandary. Except the promise was never established in this version.
I guess I could give that a try. After all, we're pals.
So, like, you know, we're sort of supposed to assume that Aladdin is fulfilling a promise to the Genie with this, but they never actually say that, except maybe in some optional unvoiced dialogue that I've forgotten, but and it's just the problem that if Kingdom Hearts wanted to have these stories told in full and to have interesting modifications based on the presence of the Heartless like this.
If someone had stuck around to give him a hand.
Hey, I did my part. I brought the princess, didn't I?
Oh no, he is working for the bad guys.
Beyond help, consumed by his own hatred.
It's like when somebody who has the title Vizier turns out.
Right? That's
Like,
a trustworthy title.
Whoa, lighten up. I'm as cool as they come, okay? By the way, kid, have we got something?
Best part of every Kingdom Hearts game.
And it's actually James Woods.
We had a deal, yes? You help us, and we grant you your wish.
Oh, so it's Kairi, a princess?
Go to her. Your vessel is waiting.
She is, yes. So, strictly speaking, not a Disney princess. But,
It won't be a pleasant voyage.
which, like, that reveal is not supposed to come for, like, another 5 hours, but
What's the catch?
It was not super, you
What's
know,
the catch?
shocking.
Silly boy.
yeah, much like the destruction of our idyllic homeworld, and Riku's fall into darkness.
I seriously doubt that.
Believe what you wish. But lest we forget, I kept my end of the bargain.
I do appreciate that, like, Riku has the presence of mind to realize that Maleficent has her own agenda.
She looks so trustworthy, though, with the green skin and the horns.
Like, you know, Riku isn't stupid. He's definitely got a hubris problem. He's bitten off more than he can chew and he doesn't realize it. But, like, he is smart enough to realize he is playing with fire.
Alright, Donald, you stay here in Agrabah. Aladdin's coming with us to wherever the next world is.
No, unfortunately...
Donald, what are you doing?
It's meddling to have... Oh, damn it, can I not even have Aladdin with me on Agrabah? Fine. No, it's meddling to bring Aladdin into other worlds. We can, however, tell him explicitly that other worlds exist and that we are not allowed to bring him to them. That's fine.
That is. Could we leave Donald here anyways?
I honestly, the party would be stronger without him, because then Goofy would not waste healing items on him. Yeah, we now have a new Trinity ability, which we don't end up using these very often because they require Goofy and Donald in the party. And, you know, I get rid of Donald as often as humanly possible.
I feel like most people would get rid of one of them. Like, you'd want the optional party member just to see how it's like.
Right? Like, it always bugged me that I had to choose between,
Oh, that's a cool keyblade.
But yeah, we now have... We have made friends with Aladdin. He is now a friend in our heart. And so we have his keychain, which actually looks like the genie's keychain, but whatever.
We didn't make friends with anybody in Wonderland.
Yeah, so far, and I can't remember if this keeps up, but so far, we have only ever gotten a keychain from someone who was a potential party member.
Okay. Alright, so next I assume we're headed to Vampire Lestat world.
Well, next, we're going to warp back to Traverse Town real quick to unlock that Trinity Mark they heavily hinted we should go check out. Because that will unlock this game's crafting system, and I want to check whether or not we can make anything real quick.
Oh boy, a crafting system.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness to Kingdom Hearts, this was, like, what, 2005 or something? So, it had not been run into the ground yet.
Inquisition's crafting system was not fun at all. It was a lot of busy work.
Yeah, was it just completely rote of, you know...
It just was not fun. It was just a... Like... At least, like even though, like, Skyrim was a lot of busy work, like, for some reason it felt more satisfying, although it did screw up, like, treasure as a thing. Like, you just need to craft stuff. You don't need to actually worry about treasure or getting money, so it kind of takes a point out of going to dungeons. But I just remember hating it. It was not fun. I think it was because they expected you to, like, design the physical appearances of the items, too, and... the defaults would be hideous, and like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, so the way synthesis works in this is that we have to synthesize some of this lower tier stuff in order to unlock new batches. I can't remember if we have to synthesize all of it or only some of it. We're about to find out. I think we have enough to get all the lower tier stuff anyway. Yeah. We might also have to wait until further in the plot. Oh, nope, we got more. I do, however, forget what a lot of this stuff does, and I'm out of a lot of these gems, so the second tier stuff I'm not going to be able to make right away. Yeah, I can't quite make the AP up, which is too bad, because that's useful. I can't make any of this shit. Okay, at least I got the low tier stuff. Something else I may or may not do off-screen is grind up all these materials right before we go to the final world, or the final two worlds, I guess.
Is AP Action points.
Ability points. It's what I use
Okay.
to equip abilities, which in Kingdom Hearts 1, they're actually fairly scarce, especially as you start getting higher levels and you have more abilities to equip. In Kingdom Hearts 2, they throw 18 billion at you.
Did Final Fantasy come up with the term magic points?
I don't think so. I think it was preceded by a Western game.
Huh. Because I know the first Final Fantasy is heavily influenced by Dungeons & Dragons, but Dungeons & Dragons doesn't use magic points. So
Neither did the first Final Fantasy. The remakes
It didn't.
always use MP, but the original had Vancian casting.
oh my god. That would be nightmarish. I wonder at what point they switched to magic points.
Second one. They had
Okay.
magic points by the second game, so.
Alright,
Okay.
so next world is Sesame Street, right?
The next world is Shrek.
Oh. Oh, so Fiona's a Princess of Heart.
She's a princess of attitude.
Oh. Because after, we've lost the 7 Princesses of Heart, the 7 Princesses of Attitude. So, that's going to be one of the kids from the Burger King Kids, that marketing program they did.
That or a Power Ranger.
The
Okay.
Pink Ranger.
So, fun. Here's a bit of fun here. We're going to play roulette with worlds here, basically.
Oh
I have
boy.
no idea what either of these two are. I can't remember which order I know that one of them is Little Mermaid and one of them is Nightmare Before Christmas. I cannot remember which is which. And also, I cannot remember what the trigger is for Monstro swallowing us on the way to one of them. So, we're just
might
going to
have
start
that.
at the bottom. I have no idea what world we're going to arrive at. It could be any of those 3. We'll see when we get there.
They foreshadowed Peter Pan, so I'm surprised that's not it.
He is... The Peter Pan world is on the other end of the, this little loop. Because we have a little loop of 4 here. And, so Peter Pan is on the 4th one on the other side. So it is possible to do him 3rd if you really want to, but it is wiser to do both of the middle ones before going on to the last one.
That is fair. Some of these villains, you had to question what their motivation involved. It's like, I can buy Maleficent, I can kind of buy Hades, I can buy Jafar, but
Yeah,
why
no.
is Captain Hook involved?
Like, those guys have an obvious need for an army of darkness. But Captain Hook, I mean, I guess because Peter Pan, and he's hoping an army of Heartless will help him kill Peter Pan, which coming out and saying kill Peter Pan feels pretty dark for that movie, but I mean, that is what he's going after, so. Oh my god, I've got to upgrade this ship soon. I don't have enough firepower to get through these asteroids. You know, we've been acquiring all these extra parts. Like, I've just been ignoring it because I don't want to do it. Like, you know, I want to do it on camera once, just so that the Let's Play will include that gameplay in it. But, you know, watching someone else customize their spaceship is not gripping play.
Yeah.
I usually try and make like a really cool, sleek-looking ship, and the game totally lets you do that. It's very good at that. But I am looking forward to seeing what the most ridiculous piece of shit design I can turn into an effective gummy ship is going to be. Because that is obviously what we have to do for a Let's Play. Is just make it as dumb as possible. Like, I'm wondering, I don't think I have to actually attach the engines to anything to get them to go. Like, I'm pretty sure... Yep, I just have to do total evasive maneuvers. I can't destroy these ships. But I'm pretty sure I can just have the engines be free-floating in the back, and it will still give me extra speed.
This is a long one.
Yeah, they get a bit longer as time goes on. Ah! We found Monstro.
That's not good. It's fine. What is a whale doing in space, though?
Space whales are awesome.
They are.
I realize it doesn't
Thankfully-
actually answer your question, but
Oh, I wonder if the conversation with Pinocchio triggered it. Not that we
Possibly.
did anything off camera.
yeah, which we definitely didn't go to Traverse Town and grind Heartless for like 15 minutes while Requiem, who is definitely Requiem and not the mother of Errant, Queen of Errant Size.
Something like that. But I'm
yeah.
not that, so I don't even need to tell you the correct answer.
Fair. Then, once again, Sora and Riku getting development. Kairi, in fairness, I don't think Kairi is even here yet. Because she shows up on Destiny Islands. Like, her one character or backstory trait is that she showed up on Destiny Islands with no memory of where she came from relatively recently. Within a couple of years.
So I have a game theory. She's a Heartless.
Not Kairi is the puppet.
She's a Heartless. Actually, no, I have a better game theory. Kairi is Sans from Undertale. Think about it.
Okay, so Riku is usually the smart one. Like, he's the one who figured out that the noise down here was wind, not a monster. But then he comes over here, and it's not exactly clear who's talking, but he is, like, sort of in the foreground. You know, the focus of the camera when the text came up, and it's like, oh, what is this? It looks like it's some kind of window, or maybe a door. I'm pretty fucking sure it's a door, Riku. Jesus.
So is Sora's life flashing before his eyes as he's digested in a whale's belly?
Apparently.
Hey, Sora! Are you okay?
What are you guys doing? Where are we anyway? Whoa!
This is hell. We're being punished for our sins.
Monstro just swallowed us. And for today's weather, expect showers.
Saga Frontier also had
Heavy
a whale that would occasionally eat you when you did the world travel. And I guess all of this just traces back to Jonah and the whale.
Pinocchio? Pinocchio, where you going? Pinocchio!
Sperm whales don't actually have very big mouths.
And I mean, Monstro's mouth here is just absolutely cavernous. Like, look at that.
Like, sperm whales' mouths are very specially evolved to eat giant squid. So they can't actually swallow you whole. They've got, like, very narrow mouths.
What have you got there, Pinocchio?
I wonder if, like, a baleen whale could swallow you. Like, they wouldn't because they're not a krill, but...
Really? With this big block, you think?
Ouch,
so?
wouldn't the baleen get in the way?
So, how did
Yeah,
you get
probably.
Pinocchio?
Like, I guess there's probably enough room in there if you cut your way through the baleen, but at that point, you're not really being swallowed, are you?
Looks like it.
Like,
My name is
you could also get yourself into a sperm whale's stomach by carving your way into it, but,
separated.
I don't think that counts.
All over looking for him. Thank
I wonder what about a whale shark? They don't really have baleen.
So, you seem to know Pinocchio.
But I don't know how big they are. Like, I know they're big, but I don't know if they're actually big enough to swallow somebody. And I know they wouldn't, because they're... I don't know if they're filter feeders or what, but I know they don't, like... They're not dangerous in any way.
Pinocchio.
Iceland,
I
actually...
have no idea.
Iceland actually has an entire category of monsters that are just evil whales.
Really?
Yes. Like, it's one of those things.
Yeah, so Kingdom Hearts attention to detail. is pretty impressive. So I'm not going to go into details. I mean, partly to make some feeble attempt to avoid spoilers from a story that, you know, you have successfully been able to guess almost every twist of in advance, but mainly just because to save time. But there is... I said that word the same way with the exact same cadence. Am I a fucking robot? But...
Are you?
That
Are
one
you
was
the
on
real
purpose.
chamomile? Did you get replaced by a robot at some point?
Beep. I mean, yes.
Okay, you know what? You know what? Here's what we're going to do to figure out if you're the real chamomile. I'm going to ask you a question that only the real chamomile would know. All right?
All right, go for it.
Okay, so what 2005 anime established the genre of reverse harem slice of life animes and brought about a renaissance in that genre, not only in Japan, but in the West?
That is very obviously Gundam Wing. Famous for its protagonist, Relena, and the 5 cute boys that she had wacky slice of life adventures with, and absolutely no mech battles at all.
I realize I would just normally ask you what the answer to that question was, so I guess we're fine.
Yeah, well, the answer was correct. So
Yeah, awesome. I'm definitely Requiem, and you're definitely Chamomile.
for sure. And if we were both imposters, we would definitely not be wondering if maybe we should just, like, be open about that, since who are we even impersonating for at that point?
Exactly. So I guess these are supposed to be from Halloween Town, Heartless.
Yeah, the same type does appear there. But yeah, the attention to detail, though, because there is a plot development that happens in Neverland that affects... If you go and do that world first, right, if you don't trigger Monstro until after you've done Neverland, which is not easy to do, because Neverland is on the far side of this little cluster. But if you do it in that order, then there are different cutscenes in this... in Monstro to reflect the differences in the dynamics the characters have with each other.
Huh. I like that.
Yeah, one of them even has different dialogue.
Ooh.
Which, yeah, because,
So we're gonna have to fight Monstro's part or something?
Yeah, the other cool thing about the attention to detail is that you can see that the design of Monstro's insides were very attentive to real-world whale anatomy.
I mean, I have no idea. I just have to take your word for it.
That doesn't sound
I've only
right, but I
been
don't
inside a
know
whale.
enough about whales to dispute it.
I mean, I've only been inside a whale a couple times, and I wasn't really paying attention. Like, I know we were just discussing how hard it is, but, like, you can get your way in there.
On multiple occasions, apparently. Having the Galaxy Brain idea of actually equipping my best Keyblades has definitely made these battles considerably easier.
So that was the problem.
In fairness, I did also gain a bunch of levels in Agrabah, so it's hard to tell exactly how much of it is one as opposed to the other, but I feel a lot better about how I'm doing against these. Which
When
is
I
that,
first
you know,
played Mass Effect, I couldn't be bothered to interact with the inventory system at all, so I got almost to the end without changing my equipment at all on any of my characters. And then finally I did, and the difficulty of the game just completely collapsed. because I hadn't bought or sold anything, so I had a ton of money, and I sold a bunch of trash, and I had even more money, so I could just immediately buy the best equipment in the game. I was like, oh, this is not a difficult game at all, actually.
It's my very first JRPG. Pro game move. Use the equipment system.
Pro game move. Don't use the equipment system until the end, and then the last part of the game will be...
Yeah, my very first JRPG was Chrono Cross, and that had a fairly complex equipment crafting system. And I say fairly complex. It had an equipment crafting system, which, as baby's first JRPG, was fairly complex to me at the time. So I did not interact with it at all until about halfway through the game when it became absolutely necessary. I was just constantly losing to this boss fight. I tried it like, 18 times because I was a kid and I had that kind of time. And I finally realized I was going to have to figure out how this equipment crafting worked. And, where to get all these crafting materials and stuff. And, yeah, the difficulty of the game just plummeted after that.
Chrono Cross, I enjoyed, but, I think they, cut the characters down to, 10.
Yeah, that was definitely... You get this in video games every now and again, where someone realizes that they can do something, and not until after they have tried it do they realize that just because they can doesn't mean they should. It's like, someone realized that they could have a cast of literally 40 characters, and only after the game was complete did it become obvious that this was actually a bad idea. I don't think I can safely jump over there, so... The annoying thing about Monstro is it's Kingdom Hearts thinking it's a platformer. So, a lot of the gameplay here is that you have to beat the Heartless without falling down to the platform down below. Because if you fall off the platform, you can't just jump back up. You have to take a long way back around. Which a lot of games have those. And they're always kind of annoying. To the point where Sunset Overdrive actually has a gag about it, where if you fall during their tower climb section, the protagonist will comment that at least the checkpoint wasn't too far down the tower.
I never played Sunset Overdrive.
It's one of those games I got for $5 when it was on sale. Years after it came out. It's okay. It's definitely, I can see how it would have been a real breath of fresh air in the time it came out. Its whole marketing campaign revolved around making fun of military shooters and cover shooting and stuff. And,
so I'm guessing
totally see that.
2010?
Yeah, it was, somewhere around 2013 or 2014, I think. I may be remembering wrong.
If I could figure out where I put my keyboard, I could look this up.
What happened to your keyboard?
You don't want to know.
Why? Okay. I will confess to some curiosity as to how exactly you lost track of your keyboard, but I will take your word for it that this is not something I want to know.
Oh, there it is. See, for reasons that are totally unrelated to magic, sometimes physical objects near me will become self-aware and wander away.
So my keyboard walked off.
Is that what the Internet of Things means?
Yeah. We've decided to make all objects sapient.
I had a very different understanding of that term, but I guess that makes sense.
And now my computer is making a sound, and I cannot figure out what it is. What is that even coming from?
Crap.
It's an ad for some sort of banking, but I don't have anything open, so I don't know what I've hit that has caused it. I know what it is.
Back in the 2003 era, I would occasionally get my computer infected with a virus that would play ads at me, like, you know, from the exe it had executed. But
my keyboard, which has become sapient, just opened my podcast player, so it wanted to listen to the Magnus archives.
I mean, that's fair.
So what was I going to look up when I captured my keyboard? I don't remember.
Nuts, I can't remember either. Oh, hey, throwback, we were talking about something else, so I didn't have a chance to bring it up at the time, but, the Moogle shop, right?
Yeah.
They had Dalmatians just sitting in their shop. Bear in mind, they are on the same world as the Dalmatians' home, and they just had these Dalmatians in a box, possibly asphyxiated. I still haven't checked. Like, what the hell, guys?
Moogles are adorable but bloodthirsty. So I'm guessing at some point we fight like Monstro's Heart or something, right?
Sort of. There is a Heartless in here who is kind of...
Oh.
Yeah, and Monstro is a fucking labyrinth, so... no guarantees about how long it will take us to find the thing we're looking for.
This is the sort of thing that I imagine would be very frustrating to get through when you're 12.
Yeah, I mean, and it's even worse because the internet at the time was very bad at hosting maps, right? Like, you know, it could host the images themselves just fine. If someone else had made a strategy guide and you had somehow gotten your hands on the image assets from that strategy guide, like some professional company, then you could upload them no problem. But you know,
for our Zoomer, for any Zoomers listening right now, there used to be this thing called Barnes and Noble that you could go to, and they would have these things called Prima strategy guides, and you would buy them with money, and they would have maps.
Yeah, because the commonly available, you know, image creation tools at the time were too primitive to make decent video game maps, and also video capture and upload capabilities were so limited that there was no way you could just watch someone else play through it and, you know, take note of the directions.
Well, if you did, like, you would go out to your friend's house, and you get their cool older brother to do it for you.
Yeah, who's like 17 and therefore capable of anything. Including Keyblade theft.
As I recall, that is how Chamomile actually beat this game the first time. You just came over to my house and had Fang Requiem do it.
Yeah, that's how I got through Monstro the first time.
Too bad, well, I guess I gave you his phone number, so maybe you could just call him. I haven't taken you off that all garlic diet yet because I don't trust you.
Yeah, as the real chamomile, I love ingesting foods for nutrients.
I am sad that we're getting the Halloween Town Heartless spoiled a little.
Halloween Town has some unique ones, so... No fear. No, god damn it. Like, I was telling myself, oh hey, I think we're on the right track because this platform looks annoying to fight on, so we probably have to stay on it to progress. And lo, the prophecy was true.
I'm glad you finally unlocked your vast psychic potential.
Okay, we are back on the annoying platform. Now all I have to do is defeat these flying enemies without falling off it.
Easy as pie.
It's like the dodge roll all over again. I'm just constantly thinking, when do I get my fucking double jump? I think it may actually be from this world.
I mean, the sound of Donald screaming in pain every couple of seconds is very pleasant. When do you get the double jump?
I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly when these things come online. All I really remember is that the game is much better once you have the dodge roll, double jump, and glide abilities. And at that point, the game is about 80% over. Okay, this guy clearly doesn't want to play with me, and I've already cleared away the debris, so...
Why do you still care about that boy?
Because I love him.
He has all but deserted you for the Keyblade.
The heart wants what it wants.
After all,
I can still win him back.
About him. I was just messing with him a little.
oh really? Of course you were.
I just dared him to give me a kiss on the lips really quick.
The heartless prey upon it.
Mind your own business.
Honestly, they do seem very shippable.
Yeah, no, there's a reason why this is, like, the leading ship in the Kingdom Hearts fandom. Like, they have a lot of history with each other. They are easily the most developed characters in the series.
What's the matter with you? What are you thinking? Don't you realize what you're doing?
I was about to ask you the same thing, Sora. You only seem interested in running around and showing off that Keyblade these days.
He was a bit of a show-off with it last time.
I do.
Yeah, well, while you've been running around saving the world and not Kairi, I sold my soul to a Satan metaphor in exchange for Kairi's location. So I'm basically halfway there. You slacker.
Oh good, we're in the bowels.
As opposed to before, I guess all that labyrinth was like Monstro's esophagus.
Oh, is Pinocchio a princess of heart?
He is not, which means you will actually be allowed to save him.
No problem. Let's do it.
Oh god, is he gonna do that the entire time?
Periodically, yes.
I guess as long as it's not as bad as the Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, no, it could be worse.
So why does Monstro just have it heartless in its bowels?
I feel like this question came up a long time ago. That said, I do not have any particular answer. Monstro just has a huge amount of heartless in his bowels. Or his
We
bowels.
just entered his bowels. He had heartless in his stomach, or
Right.
in his esophagus. This is his bowels.
His multi-layered labyrinthine esophagus, that's right.
We just now reached the bowels.
Yeah, I guess he's just been eating them. Heartless just fly through space sometimes. I guess there's little heartless pilots in those ships we blow up.
Aw, that's adorable.
Best Eldritch Abominations.
Now, I assume this Heartless joins our party.
There's one specific kind of plot twist you are especially bad at predicting.
Just what a heartless in the party. Wait, I've got an idea. Is there a way that we can get Donald to lose his heart and become a heartless?
Technically, yes. In theory, if we feed him to the Heartless.
Give me back my son.
Sorry, old man. I have some unfinished business with this puppet.
What unfinished business?
It's a mystery.
He is unusual. Not many puppets have hearts. I'm not sure, but maybe he can help someone who's lost theirs.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about Kairi?
What do you care about her?
So you can tell Riku's jealous of Sora, or not. He's bitter about being rejected by Sora, who he assumes is now dating Goofy. And so he's going to go date Kairi to try and make Sora jealous.
So
The
I guess
problem
Donald.
is that Kairi apparently... Well, no, Donald's the third wheel, obviously.
Yeah, Donald. I was about to say, so
fucking
Donald's
yes.
just third wheeling it. Sora's like, we're trying to have a date. Like, we didn't actually invite you, Donald. You keep following us around.
Yeah, here it is. I mean, okay, it's called high jump, but it's a jump that's twice as high. It's a double jump.
So are we able to leave Monstro now, or?
No, we have to use our new high jump powers
Oh,
to
fine.
chase Riku. Unfortunately, I think this is the way.
Are we actually going to fight him?
Not here. But eventually, yes.
Does Riku turn into Venmo eventually? Is that who Venmo is?
I mean, sort of, in that everyone is Xehanort.
Good.
Yeah, the first 3 games, mainline games, and all of their various plot-critical spin-offs in Kingdom Hearts are called the Xehanort Saga, because they are about this guy named Xehanort who at some point possesses or transforms into almost literally every major character.
Amazing. But his
Yeah,
original
yeah.
identity is actually Walt Disney.
I mean, that's not disconfirmed by canon. And,
He's Walt Disney's Heartless.
I would have to play the 3rd game to double check, but I'm pretty sure that's plausible.
The final world in the 3rd game is the Saving Mr. Banks world.
When the author of Mary Poppins is, won't sell him the rights, so he sicks his heartless minions on her and Sora has to save her.
But then the Heartless turn on him, and that's when we see Xehanort's secret origin.
Thunder!
So, we went into the throat, then climbed upward, which got us sucked into the stomach.
Hey, let Pinocchio go, Riku.
A puppet that's lost its heart to the Heartless. Maybe it holds the key to helping Kairi.
Oh no, is
How?
Pinocchio going to turn into a Heartless?
Let's join forces to save her. We can do it together.
Break up with Goofy.
What? You'd rather fight me? Over a puppet that has no heart?
Heart or no heart, at least he still has a conscience.
The exact function of the heart is
You might not hear it, but right now it's
pretty,
loud and clear. And
pretty
if you
vague.
think You're on the wrong side.
Then you leave me no choice.
I believe, and I don't know if this has been confirmed by science or not, but I believe the pump blood through your body. Like, this is kind of fringe theory, but...
Oh, I guess I'm okay.
I love the implication of this, that Pinocchio's nose does not grow when he tells intentional lies, but simply when he makes false statements.
Did we
So,
already
like-
beat this thing?
Yeah, but now I have to do it without Riku helping us out, and also it's got twice as much HP for no reason, and a couple of new attacks. Basically,
I mean,
you
at
know how
least
there
it's
was that... You know how there was that fake-out repeat boss fight in Traverse Town with the armor?
Yeah.
Well, this time they're playing it totally straight.
I mean, like, at least it hasn't gotten cuter. Like, I don't know what you do at that point.
Does this hurt me? No, I think I can stand in the stomach acid without taking any damage.
Oh, good.
Ah, no, it does. It's just got a weird proc.
That's unfortunate. Oh god, we're gonna have to go through that cutscene again, aren't we?
Obviously.
And we have to go
Or
up
else you're
this
going to have to
weird...
climb this entire tower again, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I need to be more careful with that. I had plenty of MP left.
You just had to get in the stomach acid.
I mean, I was trying to verify whether or not it hurt me so that I could figure out whether or not I needed to avoid it.
I mean, it's like that time we both got swallowed by a whale at the same time. And you were like, I wonder if this stomach acid hurts me. And I was like, chamomile, it's stomach acid. And, you know, that's how, like, I told you.
Okay, but in my defense, it was a baleen whale, and there was no particular reason to believe it could digest things larger than krill.
That is fair. But now we know that they could, theoretically.
Yeah, so, you know, that was for science. Okay, so how did you like that cutscene? It was compelling, right? Worth a second watch?
Oh my god.
Yep. Just hammering buttons to no effect.
A puppet that's lost its heart to the heartless.
The technology to skip cutscenes just wasn't there yet.
How about it, Sora?
How do you feel about being led into everlasting darkness?
We can do it together. What?
Everlasting darkness where we get to kiss?
Over a
Question mark.
puppet that has no heart?
I mean, it's not really clear, but maybe if we watch the cutscenes enough times...
Conscience.
You might not hear it, but right now it's loud and clear. And it's telling me you're on the wrong side.
Then you leave me no choice.
Pinocchio! Pinocchio!
Jiminy, I'm not gonna make it. Oh, I guess I'm okay.
So yeah, he's just...
So that means, so he's essentially omniscient, because he can just say any statement, any true or false statement, and determine the truth of it by whether or not his nose grows.
Right. He can brute force any problem. So long as he can find an exhaustive possibility space, he will inevitably arrive at the solution sooner or later. I think at some point in here I may have fallen behind the level curve again. Although, I am noticing that I'm doing much better now that I am paying any attention at all to the boss's pattern.
And you're not stepping in the acid. On purpose, at least.
Yeah, the reason why I walked around in the acid for a bit to double check if it hurt me is because he kept knocking me into it. Like, at first, I was avoiding the acid just in case, but after a bit I realized I'm not going to be able to consistently avoid this acid. Every time he hits me, I get knocked right into it. There is a part of this arena that is basically out of this guy's reach, so I can retreat to there to do cure spells uninterrupted.
One of my favorite tactics in Oblivion was to find a place that the enemy could not jump to. The enemies can't jump, so you could but you could. So you could very easily get to a place where you're untouchable and you could just shoot arrows at enemies. I remember getting up on a boulder one time and there was an ogre that I was way too low level to deal with, and I just shot arrows at it for like an hour until it died. Which I guess you don't have arrows, so.
I do have magic, though. Only problem is it doesn't regenerate unless I hit people with physical attacks. That said, I did cheese Maleficent using basically that strategy the first time I played, specifically her dragon form. I found a part of the arena where none of her attacks could hit me, and then I waited for like 45 minutes to an hour while Donald and Goofy wore her down, because they revive after a while, no matter how many times they go down. And so, you know, they would revive, they would come back for all of 30 seconds, do a little bit of damage to her, get downed again, and I just hung out.
So is Xehanort involved in this game at all?
Not by name, although because Xehanort is everyone, some people who later on turn out to have been him all along are in this game.
Right. Am I Xehanort?
I mean, I assume so.
Okay.
Seems like the safe bet at this point.
Now, was I always Xehanort, or did I become Xehanort at some point?
Oh, that depends on character to character. So, for you specifically, I'm not sure, but...
Okay. The fact that we don't get the hearts after the Heartless dies kind of annoys me.
Riku! Riku, where are you?
They are released and go to Kingdom Hearts, which is apparently part of some kind of reincarnation scheme.
Oh. Fun.
We also now have the Stop spell, which is a pretty good one. I should probably equip that in place of Fire on the fast cast menu.
So, Kyrie's like a lifeless puppet now?
Precisely.
And her heart was...
Taken by the Heartless, no doubt.
Tell me, what can I do?
There are 7 maidens of the purest heart. We call them the Princesses of Heart. Gather them together, and a door will open to the heart of all worlds. Within lies untold wisdom. There you will surely find a way to recover Kyrie's heart.
Kingdom Hearts.
Now,
And that is what it's called.
The power to control the Heartless.
Well, you don't have to learn that. You can just give it away to people.
Soon, Kyrie. Soon.
So there's a Kyrie Heartless running around somewhere, right?
Presumably. Which, I mean, the badassery of the Heartless and the badassery and, you know, like, the plot importance of the character are not connected.
So we could have killed
Like-
Kyrie's Heartless already.
Yeah, well, and if so, then her heart would have been released to Kingdom Hearts. So it's possible that when Riku gets there and, you know, uses the untold wisdom of Kingdom Hearts, which I don't think actually works that way. I think Maleficent is just lying to him. But
she seems so trustworthy.
yeah, it's totally possible that Kyrie's heart is just already in Kingdom Hearts.